Order. Mr. Attorney, would you give us a report from closed session?
Dave.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. No reportable action from closed session. Direction was given to staff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Mayor Smith, would you lead us in that?
Absolutely. Let's stand. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to
Any corrections or changes to the agenda? None?
No changes.
No recusals from council? Seeing none? Okay. I'd entertain a motion for adopting the agenda.
so move.
Call roll.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Any presentations tonight? No? No proclamations? Public communications and non-agenda items? Do we have any cards?
Yes, sir, we do have several of those tonight.
Okay.
We will begin with Rhonda and follow that with Melva and Tom.
Welcome, Rhonda.
Point out something. I do not come here for spite. I do not come here for revenge. I do not come to get even. I come because I am a woman that has spent 10 years homeless for no reason other than a very tragic thing that happened in my life, and then meeting people that wanted to further that tragedy. You've got a problem, and it doesn't only stem with your homeless. It stems with your services for the homeless. It stems from an opinion of those homeless. But your homeless are committing these crimes, and you guys can attest to this. Trespassing, petty theft. We're not seeing violence. We're not seeing anything like that. We're seeing a little bit of noise, a couple of arguments between a girlfriend and a boyfriend that are homeless. They don't have a private place to go fight. Okay? These are the crimes that are being committed by the homeless. But the biggest crime is trash. And as Mr. Weber has stated, we are choosing to be out there. We are creating all this trash. But as he can attest, I do not create that trash. I pick it up everywhere I go. And there is many, many more just like me. The ones that is creating that trash is seriously, seriously mentally ill. And it's not only from drugs, it's from many, many things. And if you go do your research, this is all recorded, including your abuses of these shelters, which happened again last night. Sherry cannot contain herself. She is the one throwing people against walls. Well, Lisa's been out there 35 years for a choice she made when she was young. She doesn't choose to be there. But she has been abused, beaten, raped, the stuff drugged that is helping with this woman. She wants in. But she can't get in because you're hiring people like Sherry that came out of a drug program, that went from a prison to a drug program, and spent years down there beating people up. Well, this happened again last night. Lisa is crying and she's laying out there on the freaking concrete because Sherry can't control herself. This has happened up in Chico. And one shelter that I swear by, and that is Safe Space. It works. Do you know why it works? Because they put the effort, the time, the money, and the damn respect that it deserves. Mr. Weber, not all of us rob banks. None of them are out there doing that. Not all of us create trash.
Rhonda,
Not all of us are
Rhonda,
violent.
your time,
None are.
Rhonda, your time has
Have a
expired.
good day.
Thank you.
You do not belong there.
Thank you.
Nine.
Up next, we have Melva and Tom, followed by Eric Shanky.
Melva, welcome to the podium.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we heard about the problem with the parking lot at Cottonwood Estate. Most of the people that live there are disabled. You know, they're blind like her. They use walkers and everything else. And there's no way to get up on the sidewalk. You got to get out, go out in the street and go down to the next driveway and come back in.
Go ahead, folks. This is the handout that we have?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can see how that curve
Right.
is there. And you got to go out in the road to get up on it.
So your request is to put ramps in for
Yeah.
ADA accessibilities? Okay.
1/4 of our residents are disabled,
Okay.
and we have 100 people that live there. And we have blindness, and anything else you might say for an old person.
Well, thank you. Councilman Weber, you have a question for this?
Comment. I wanted to thank you guys for bringing this. Councilmember Johnstone and I, she represents this district where you guys are at, but we already brought this to the attention of Wade Atterbury, which works with Tim Kaber, and then that was when Alyssa was in the role you're in. But Wade had assured me, and I'm probably pretty sure that Tim could probably give us an update, that is on the list of priorities to take care of. So, Tim, would you care to comment on that, please?
Yeah, we're doing sidewalks right now, so I'll make sure that's on the list.
Yeah. Because it's very dangerous for us.
Yeah.
Not only the curb, but walking out into the street to the nearest drive that goes up. You're out in the street. And across the street is a gas station where the older folks like to go over and get a candy bar or a soda, and there's no crosswalk. And I don't know if that's a law or not, that you can't have one, but we really need to have a place that we can walk straight across the street, because that's where the candy and the sodas and
Councilman Weber, go ahead.
so if you can give us a walk, we'd appreciate it.
Maybe it would be appropriate to do a traffic study to see if we could put a crosswalk somewhere along there.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it
Yeah,
tomorrow.
because I mean, the nearest one is pretty far down maybe
Thank
just
you.
just food for thought. Maybe we could just do a
Yeah,
traffic
there
study
is
and see.
And there is quite a bit of traffic there on Fifth, because you got the DMV right down the road, and you got all the trucks that come in there to do their driving tests.
Yep.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the
thank you.
pictures.
Okay,
Pictures
have a
tell a
nice
story.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Eric Shanke, followed by the cameraman.
Eric?
Thanks. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm a small business owner here in town. I want to speak in opposition to the proposed triennial fire inspection ordinance. I'd like to thank Mayor Pittman, Vice Mayor Smith, and Fire Chief Tans for taking the time to dialogue with me about this matter. I've got two concerns. First, there doesn't appear to be any California ordinance that mandates annual inspections of businesses. I believe the council may have a misunderstanding about this, and that they are actually considering making local ordinances that are much more strict than California mandates. Is that the type of business atmosphere you seek to enforce on the local mom and pop establishments in town? There is a California ordinance that mandates annual inspections of motels, hotels, and apartments, which brings up my second concern, the Fourth Amendment. The U.S. Bill of Rights, in the form of the Fourth Amendment, recognizes a natural human right of citizens to be free of government searches of their person and property. The California Constitution has wording almost identical to the Fourth Amendment, and all members of this council swore an oath to support and defend these documents. However, over the years, courts have determined, rightly or wrongly, that the government can abridge this fundamental human right. This is in instances where it is determined that there is a substantial government interest. Then narrow exceptions have been carved out of this right. Hence the exception of motel, hotel, and apartment owners losing their right to be free of government searches because of the argument that there is a substantial risk of massive loss of life. But this narrow exception has been allowed only after very careful consideration and argumentation, weighing the alleged substantial government interest and the inherent rights of the people. However, in the discussions I've seen here, there has been a noticeable absence of even the slightest recognition of this natural, inherent right. Where is the substantial government interest in regular, compulsory searches of all businesses in Oroville? Where is the loss of life and property that has become so widespread that the council would even consider expanding this very narrow exception to the people's rights to a broad enforcement on an entire class of people? I urge the council to abandon this project that seeks to further abridge the rights of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Up next, we have the cameraman, followed by Palmer Horn.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor Smith.
I want to encourage anyone that's a business owner in town to pay attention. I appreciate the focus that you've brought and the attention that you've brought to this item, because like anything else, there's always more to know. And I appreciate your insight and focus. So I just thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, Oroville City Council. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Great day to be here. God's given. Just before I get in my comments, I definitely agree with the previous speaker. Anything that's intrusive, oversighted, violates your Fourth Amendment, you can definitely count me to not be in support of that. So definitely don't like some of the things I just heard in regards to that, but hopefully it won't get passed. I understand there's areas like, more rural in parts of the town, but, I feel safe, not to shame the people that choose to live where they live, but I'm happy living in Oroville. Well, at least the part that I'm around, because, I don't have that many trees, and hopefully, the field won't burn down. But other than that, Oroville's survived quite a bit of fires, and we got some smart people in this town that know how to fight them. Hopefully, anyways. Not too much tonight. Just wanted to say, I don't know when it was done, but it appears there's been some patching done on Table Mountain Boulevard going back behind the jail. I don't know if that was recent, but just the recent ride I had on the bus over there, it felt a lot less bumpier. Or maybe I just had a driver that didn't decide to floor it down Table Mountain. But either way, it was a lot more smooth. Now if we could just get that area by Nelson and the freeway entrance and off ramp, because that little portion as you're coming out under the underpass there towards Home Depot, we still got some potholes that need to be addressed. So hopefully we can get that fixed. But I'm glad that at least that portion on Table Mountain is getting better, and hopefully a lot more roads in our city this coming year. Another matter is that I guess this weekend there was some sort of support display over by Food Max regarding the two juveniles that passed away not too long ago. I guess there's some things going on in the court I definitely want to look into, but if the person responsible allegedly was under the influence of, substances and or alcohol, I don't understand why that person isn't charged. I mean, it's tragic. I'm not saying, the guy wanted that to happen, but, you can't just get off scot-free. And to see the amount of support that these two individuals have from the community, I just find it hard to believe that they're not going to charge this individual. So I don't know if the city has any word on that or not, but it was good to see people out there in town exercising their First Amendment rights, demanding justice, and I hope they get the justice that they're seeking. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Palmer Horn. That is my only remaining speaker card, sir.
Welcome, Palmer.
Pray over you guys in the city, if that's all right. So, dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we just thank you for today, Lord. We thank you for this beautiful city of ours and your presence in it, Father, and we thank you for the mighty movement that you've started, and just pray that you continue to be with us as we continue to walk this path, Lord. Lord, I just thank you for these men and women up here, Lord, and your word says that those who are put in leadership have been appointed by you, Lord. So I just pray that they continue to walk in that authority that you've given them, Lord. Lord, I just want to thank you for the law enforcement, for keeping our city safe, and not only that, but for rescuing those of us who need to be rescued from ourselves, Lord. As you know, sometimes going to jail is the only way that we will ever get to meet you or to even get our life straight. So we thank you for them, Father, and thank you for the firefighters. And we just pray that you keep the law enforcement and the firefighters safe, Lord. And we thank their families for their sacrifice and their strength too, Lord. And Lord, I just pray for the children of our community, Lord. The attacks from the enemy seem to be relentless, and so I just pray that a hedge of protection be placed around them, and I pray that the headship of their family teaches them to daily put on that full armor of God. And Lord, I just pray for everybody who doesn't know you as of yet, that they get to have that Jesus moment and get to start to build and nurture that relationship with you, Father. And Lord, we know that with you all things are possible. And so, just continue to watch over our city, Lord. We love you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
That's all I have for public comment, sir.
Thank you. Next item is council announcements and reports. Any councilmen have any reports or committees to talk about? Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll be on stage Saturday, March 21st, at the Convention Center to open up Arbor Days. This is the 7th annual Arbor Day Festival celebrated here in Oroville, courtesy of Oroville Botanical Garden and Education Center. Also, PG&E will be providing 200 free plants to the first 200 folks that show up. Emerald Carpet and Wild California Lilac are the two offerings that will be available. Also, the Great Zambini will be performing, I believe, at 11 in the morning. And then followed by yours truly, I'll be reading the Lorax. For the last several years, I've been traditionally going about our schools and reading the Lorax. And it kind of brings up some of my personal past at a time when I used to work with kids. So, at the far end of town where the gurgle grass grows, and the wind smells sour and slow. Anyway, you get the point.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a lot of fun at Arbor Days Festival in our convention center. So I want to encourage all of you to come, bring the kids. And then also it's a fundraiser for the rhinos as well, and they'll be providing or selling food out of the convention center as well. And we have over 50 vendors that'll be there. So show up. It's, I said March 21st, Saturday, right, which is technically the second day of spring, but traditionally March 21st is the first day of spring, but this year it'll be on the 20th, in case you're wondering. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Yeah. It is going to be a big event, and I'm amazed every year. It seems to be getting bigger, so thanks for announcing that. That's true.
One other thing, we're also Tree City USA, 46 years in running for Oroville. I believe that Oroville is like the 9th Tree City USA city of all the cities. And so that's a pretty amazing feat. So that's quite a thing, a badge of honor, if you will, for our community as well. So, yep. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Johnstone's in the queue.
Thank you. Thank you for all that great information. I just wanted to let everyone know that the Arts Commission has approved the NOFA for the Rainforest Project was just awarded for the mural that's going to be going around our beautiful new parks. It's not a stage, but what would you call that? The seating area. So all the way around it, they're going to do a mosaic art display, and it's going to have some beautiful tiles on there. It will have representations of history throughout Oroville on there, so it's going to be exciting and it's new. It's going to take place over time, so it's not all going to be done in one setting, but so just be prepared for this new park that's coming, Hewitt Park, and the beautiful things that are happening with it. Thank you.
And I think that item will be coming before this body as well. I think in the next meeting.
Yes.
I believe.
Okay.
Possibly.
A couple things I'll report on the score. The construction at the plant is moving progressively. I think it's over 50% done. Also, you'll notice on Oregon Boulevard, the Ready Creek Pump Station is well into construction, which is a deep replacement that we've needed for a long time. And then at BCAG, I should mention that there is now a special transit study being done between Orville and Chico. That transit study hasn't been done for over 20 years, so it may come up with new findings on providing the bus service back and forth between Orville and Chico. And then some of us attended the League City March 6th at the Chico City Pallet Shelter. Myself and Brian Ring got a tour with about 40 other folks from other Northern California cities and got through the pallet shelters and what's going on with that process. And we went back for a meeting and discovered their cost to operate that for 200, is it 200 units, Brian? They're
400 and I think it's like 436.
Yeah.
They have a lot.
They have a lot of capacity. It's costing their general fund $3.5 million a year to operate that. The folks are provided 3 meals a day, and all the units are air conditioned. It's expensive. And I'm not saying that that's something we should go down the path with, but I don't know if it's a solution, but it's an interesting place. Just wanted to let you know we got a good tour of it, and a lot of details, and it's run very different than the one we have here with the Orville Resource Center and the Esperanza Village. Very different, and I'm happy to see this one have the different changes and improvements. And one of the things I was shocked about is up here, it's 18 months of time. The pallet shelter in Chico, there's unlimited time for your participation to be there. There's no cutoff date, which bothers me a little bit because that could be very expensive if someone stays there for a long period of time. But we'll see what happens because their lawsuit is settled, I think, the end of this year. And the lawsuit required that facility to be built. No one really knows what it's going to be after the lawsuit's expired. So just keep an eye on what's going on with that because that's a very expensive item to come out of your general fund. That's all I had. Someone else was next. Oh, okay. All right. Well, with that, council's done. Administrative reports. Who wants to be first up? Kayla?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I just wanted to give you one last final reminder that Form 700s are due April 1st. If you have not filed, please set an appointment with me. I'm happy to get that taken care of with you. If you need help accessing your FPPC portal, I'm happy to help you with that as well. I know you will see on the dais a city clerk report. I do plan to give those to you monthly as well going forward. And that's all I had.
Next, Amy. Looks like she's grabbed the mic.
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that I submitted the 2025 CDBG application on March 12th, and that is for the storm drain improvements on Foothill Boulevard. The actual due date is April 3rd, so they won't start really looking or considering the applications until after that point. In the NOFA, they state that they anticipate the awards being in September, and then standard agreements being produced on an ongoing basis after October. But we know that there's often delays for that, so just keep you posted.
Ruth? No? Other side of the room. Belser, looks like you're first up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to report on our stats for February for code enforcement. During the month of February, we resolved 156 violations, opened up 64 proactive cases, 22 reactive cases, and closed 86 cases. 49 of them were voluntarily closed, 13 of them were by force. Inspections performed were 204. In our Safeway Home program, since January, we've gotten 13 people reunited with families outside of Butte County. There were 3 in the month of February. One went to Marysville, one went to Sacramento, and the other one went to Detroit. And I'm happy to announce that the nuisance building on Lincoln, the old Triple S Tire building, was demoed by the property owner. That case started in July of 25. It was a lot of work by Colin Huber, specifically Sam Emerson, working with the attorneys of the property owners that brought individuals down from Oregon and ended up taking out the building. Since July, there was 35 police calls for service at that building involving trespass, subjects breaking inside, vandalism stuff. I sent an email regarding all the information in that building, but that was a big win for code enforcement. I'll tell you that the commercial businesses around that area were super happy. We received multiple calls. Actually got flagged down driving by there by one of the, a citizen that lives in that area is very happy.
Just to let the public know, that was a burnout building.
Yes, it's a burned out structure, and what we were hesitant for was there was asbestos inside. For the city to hire somebody to do that, minimally you're looking at like $50,000.
Oh, yeah.
But for the property owner to demo it themselves, as long as they dispose of it properly, you know, they don't have to be licensed. They don't have to.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, so it is a big win for the city.
Next? All right. Other than Chief's on vacation.
I'm going to jump in before Pat because I'm wearing a better jacket.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. You have in front of you the Public Works report. I wanted to highlight a few things. Hewitt Park grand opening is going to be April 3rd, 11 a.m. I've sent an email to each of you inviting you to speak if you want. I'm going to put the program together. It's going to be great. It's going to be a fantastic day. Hewitt Park is looking awesome. Working on the sanitary sewer management plan update. I'll bring that to you in April. This document is about 15 years old and needs to be updated. The state's looking for it, so I'm going to bring it as soon as I can. Our friends at Ben and Engineering are developing it, and we're going through the final tweaks. I'm going to get you the Corp Yard contract for approval, review, hopefully approval in April. I'm going to target the second meeting. If I can bring it earlier, I will. But the second meeting is what my target is right now. Bedrock Park, you will get an update on that in April. I'm going to update the Parks Commission, and I'll bring it to you the meeting following that. Highway 162 update.
Ooh.
That project's going to start April 20th. I don't have the full schedule yet. Playing some phone tag and email tag with the project manager to get the full schedule and the flow of work. But April 20th is their target date to start. That doesn't mean they're going to be in the road right away. That just means the contractor's going to mobilize. Montgomery Roundabout is going to kick off again tomorrow, and paving operations will start April 6th. We'll get notifications out to everybody well in advance. There may be some night work if the plant allows. Hopefully we can do most of that at night and limit the impact to some schools, although that is spring break week. So we're targeting that to limit the impact there as well. Subject to any questions, those are my highlights.
162, is it Caltrans' typical process to do a lot of work at night on that, or you haven't heard how their work plan
I have
is?
not heard how they're going to operate that one, no.
I think we need to warn everybody in this town, as so many people use that road, they might think about using another one. Vice Mayor Smith.
Are we getting this entered into the public record? I know we're getting it just before council meeting.
Yes, I just wanted to let you know, every time he submits one of those reports, it is uploaded in the minutes when we have that, and then those go onto the website.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's a really great, good job.
Yeah.
Very informative. Thank you.
I forgot to highlight, I added 311 requests that you'd asked for last time. So I went back to the beginning of the year because I hadn't reported on any of that. So 23 closed since the beginning of the year, 21 closed since the beginning of the year. 8 are open, including broken benches down by the Nature Center that we're in the process of replacing.
What I like is the nice stuff, the pictures, the temple celebration, you know, and there's some nice photos in there. It's really a good,
Appreciate it.
puts
Very
the best
thorough.
foot forward, not just all the negative stuff. So, thank you.
Yeah.
If I can add on there, Tim has been asking for more specificity on the 162 project, and we just got an email to him, so I think we'll have more this week that we'll be able to share with you folks.
Okay. Now Patrick's turn, huh?
I haven't put my newsletter out yet, but I'll give you just a few stats. In January, the fire marshal inspected 111 units, and in February, 62. We had 7 new businesses open up last month, 69 applications received for building permits, 51 issued, and 31 finalized.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Very good. That's it? Oh, Brian, go ahead.
I would like to add one thing. I'm not sure if Lieutenant has any comments on this, but I know we have heard some concerns raised recently, and so I want to put this out in the public for the public to be aware of this, but there's been some concerns or some complaints about folks parking illegally in ADA parking stalls. And I just want to stress the importance. Obviously, ADA parking stalls at businesses, restaurants, they have a purpose, obviously, for those folks that have accessibility issues. And as these issues are on the rise, I know OPD is going to be on the lookout for these, and people will be cited if they're found to be parking in these illegal stalls. So more to come on that. We'll push some stuff out on social media about that as well, but it's a super important topic to get out to the public.
Yes, and we are going to take full accountability of that and make sure that we're doing the best we can within the law to take care of those violations.
Thank you, sir. All right, that being, next item is consent agenda. Entertain a motion for consent unless someone has item to pull.
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
You good?
Before we vote, do we have any cards on the consent items?
We did not.
All right, call the roll, please.
Oh, sorry. Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
We learned we had one more public comment. Would we be able to go back so that the individual?
And that's Brenda from PG&E.
Oh,
Oh.
welcome, Brenda.
The record, Brendan Orion with PG&E, and Vice Mayor Smith, you touched on one of the issues I wanted to just cover. One of the ways that PG&E mitigates wildfire risk is to work on trees, and that includes trimming trees and removing trees. It's part of our layers of protection. So our presence here at Arbor Days is really important to our company, and it's more than just giving away plants and trees, although that's a draw. But I wanted to give a perspective. We're there to provide education around planting. And I wanted to also share some stats with respect to Oroville. And Brian, you have this from the deck that we shared about a month ago. So we do vegetation work here in Oroville, and that includes inspecting the lines, the distribution lines, and trees that are under our lines. And in 2025, we inspected 90 miles and removed or trimmed 1,630 miles. So we do quite a bit of work here in Oroville. And just on the lines of just vegetation work, you know that we have an assessment yard here in Oroville, and all personnel that works, does vegetation work for PG&E has to come through the assessment yard. And for perspective, and I know that I updated you last year, earlier in the year, but in 2025, PG&E assessed 5,116 personnel. So quite a few people came through Oroville, and they stay here again for 2 nights. And as of February 25th of this month, so a few weeks ago, we already had 777 come through. And so we're trending in the direction that we did last year and perhaps more. So just wanted to make note of that. And Mayor, I brought a copy of the map for vegetation if you'd like me to share that with all council. And then just on another note, and PG&E appreciates being able to work with you, and we know that our gas work has been extensive here in our work on 162, but back in September, I had written all of you about a project on C Street, and just happy to announce that we've started the final road restoration work. We did a walkthrough with your team a while back, a couple of weeks ago, and we're on track to finish it by the end of this month. So thank you.
Might add too, I think you're putting in a charging station in the Las Plumas Plaza.
Oh, we talked about that last year. Yeah.
It's in construction right now, as I see. So thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Vice Mayor Smith, you have a question?
On that that's the charging station in front of Big Five?
Yes.
Is that the one? Yeah. I don't know. Did you have any more information on that? The Tesla charging stations?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Councilman Goodson.
Yes. Brenda had shared some wonderful stats, and did you share that the trees that had been trimmed and or removed in 2025 was 58,520? What is that? What's Yes, what is that stat? Okay.
To be assessed at the assessment yard.
And then there's plan for this year, 2026, there is a 3,400, that's miles to inspect?
No.
What is, just please explain that.
Sure. So based on the chart that I just gave Brian, so we inspect 90 miles in Oroville, and we plan to inspect another 90 miles. So we sometimes walk our areas twice in a year, and so it's 90 miles of actual inspection. So it's 90 miles of inspection, and then the 1,630 trees, were trimmed or removed last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand as I'm looking at it, that's in the city of Oroville.
Correct.
But you have a vegetation management work in total of Butte County.
Yes.
Which encompasses the larger of the numbers.
Yeah, and I can share the Butte County numbers with you later.
That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive, so.
We had talked, we can go into more detail about just the mandate around that, but it's extensive, yeah.
So thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate
Thank you.
the service.
Thank you, Brenda. Any other cards? No?
No, sir.
We're good? All right. Next item will be regular business. Item number 7, the North Star contract for the downtown storm drain feasibility study.
You know, Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
I believe
Oh,
we have public hearings.
I'll change that back to public hearings for our time of 5:10. Item number 11, we'll open the public hearing for the closeout of community development 22 CDBG PI 00026. Amy.
Thank you, Mayor Pittman. Tonight's public hearing is one of those mandated procedures for CDBG grant closeout. And really what it is just to give the public an opportunity to speak, also the council to hear about the accomplishments that we did during the grant term. This is a 2020 CDBG PI 00026, and this is a program income only application that we submitted using funds that we received back from loan payoffs to make improvements into the convention center. All of the funds have been expended. The construction was done quite a while ago, but we had been expending funds for general administration, and those were just recently done. I have a small presentation to give you. It's already up there. Next, can you do next?
Whoops. Give me just one moment. Sorry, technical difficulty.
Okay, the amount of the application was for $1.4 million. It was, I believe, $900,000 of cash on hand and then future receipts that had come in through the grant term. 1.282 was for construction and 118 was for general administration. There are not any remaining funds. We actually completed it way before the expiration date, which is in July of this year. The total beneficiaries is all of the citizens in the city of Oroville, and this was the citizen count at the time that we applied for the grant application. Next. The scope of the work included men and women's restrooms, dressing rooms. Both of them were remodeled. One was expanded with 6 stalls and 3 lavatories. And then the other one was lavatory and water closet. We got new fixtures and lightings and plumbing throughout. We remodeled 2 new bathrooms at the front to make them ADA compliant. We installed a new lift to the stage and rebuilt the stairs to match the area. Next. We also added lighting to a workout room. We improved the foyer, which was side entry windows were removed and replaced with wood frames. Side entry doors were removed and replaced with code-compliant glass, and also the window above. And then all the existing glazing and bricks were removed and replaced with a double 42-inch doors with new glazing beside the wall or the door. Here are some pictures that Pat sent me throughout the construction. And so the next step is I'm going to complete the closeout report, which I did complete today. And then we'll submit it to HCD as long as you guys have any outstanding issues or questions that you have.
Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
And to put in a plug, if you want to see this amazing remodeled building, come to the Arbor Days, March 21st, starting at 10 a.m. with our mayor opening the ceremony. Thank you. Just had to do it.
Here we go.
No, thank you.
Looking
Okay.
for a motion?
Do we
need a motion?
do we need a motion for this? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we authorize the closeout of community development block grant.
A second.
There you go. 22.
Call the roll.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We're having a second public hearing again. We'll close that one out. And now we're going to open up the public hearing for item number 12, the elected officials transparency and accountability ordinance. Did I do that right? I think so.
All right. This item was originally presented back to the council back in December. Staff were given direction. Item came back February 17th. Once again, staff were given additional direction, and now it's returning tonight, March 17th, for a public hearing to get some public input on the item and to see if there's any other additions, changes, modifications that the council would wish to make on this draft ordinance.
Any council comments to the ordinance as presented on the agenda? Councilman Reynolds?
I would like to ask at the pleasing so that we remove demand for resignation, being that it's non-binding anyway. It seems to take away from the validity of this statement. Why would we put something in there that's not binding? So I move that we remove that.
Where is that, please?
That's on page 149 of the packet, and it's the fourth item down in section 5, enforcement and public accountability.
And if I may, council, I should have mentioned this beforehand. So the changes on this draft that you see in front of you, the ones in red were the ones after the first meeting, the ones in yellow were the additional changes. Just if you're wondering what the color coding is. And that section that Councilmember Reynolds was referring to was in section 5, the fourth bullet in section 5.
I would agree with that.
I third that.
Okay.
Let me ask City Attorney, what does non-binding mean? Just for a
Means they can't-
definition. I just want a legal term, though.
Non-binding in a general sense just means that you can ask, but it's not something that you can force in this particular situation. Sometimes non-binding means you'll get an opinion and you can choose not to follow it. That's a choice. Binding means that everybody's agreeing that that rule, when the decision is made, is going to apply to them, one way or another. And that's, so non-binding just means that it's sort of optional.
Council, or Vice Reynolds, are you still in the queue? Go ahead.
Yeah, I still have some comments. The whole agenda item is redundant. It's covered in the government code and it's covered in our policy handbook, but I'm all for 100% transparency. I'm just not for including in a document something that we have no teeth in. There's no reason for that. It takes away from the document itself. If that is in fact in question, then the whole document could be in question.
Vice Mayor Smith, are you completed? Jeff,
So
Vice
this
Mayor
is
Smith is
a
next.
legal question. So if we were to strike through that bullet point, demand for resignation, non-binding. Can we, in removing that, would we have to then have another additional reading out?
No, this
a
is
week?
the
We
purpose
just-
of your public
Right, no, I
hearing.
understand that, but it doesn't, okay.
And-
Yeah, because
and
I
you
would,
just-
I'm in principle, in agreement with that, because at the end of the day, it has no, real, it's just more of a political stance than anything, our posture.
In a practical sense, it doesn't really have much value because anyone at any time could just make a demand for somebody's resignation for any reason, or, one of them that's covered by the policy, or really anything that they think makes a person, unfit to serve, and that includes your constituents or your colleagues or, really anyone. So it doesn't really have a bearing on, doesn't restrict anybody from not being able to say something like that. It doesn't make it any more applicable.
Yeah, and just to the comments that Councilman Reynolds made, I mean, in principle, I mean, his comments, I think, are valid in that much of the language here does exist in various other documents that regulate the behavior of a council and transparency. And I think what this does provide, though, is a level of codification that these are values that we hold in high esteem as an Orville Council. And so to that end, I think it does, put it in higher esteem, if you will. And then that's also why at the end there is language there that if this, there's a violation or there's a problem here, then of course, then we would submit to that higher authority, if you will, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Yeah, as an expression of this council's beliefs, any individual member could take that position if that's what they thought it meant, for sure.
Councilman Thompson's in the queue.
Thank you. Yeah, the fact that we live in the state of California, which got regulations on top of regulations, and part of the enforcement of errors and whatnot of any elected official, comes down to FPPC. And from my understanding, there have been historically council members who have been fined in thousands of dollars due to offenses to, the law. So there are enforcement policies that are already in place, and so having something in there, I'm not sure whose idea it was to put that in there, but yeah, if somebody on this council or future councils do things that are egregious, there are, again, we live in the state of California, there are agencies like the FPPC who are in place to properly, legally handle things that are non-biased, that somebody just doesn't like somebody or the decisions they make, and so they demand for their resignation and whatnot. My 2 cents. I'm done.
Okay. Councilman Weber.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Weber. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any problem with that language being struck, as if that's the wish of this council. But I wanted to say that this ordinance is framed as a forward-looking safeguards and best practices. It's not framed as something heavy-handed or restrictive on legitimate council work. It is designed to prevent potential abuses by ensuring decisions are collective, documented and open to scrutiny, standard good governance tools that reduce risks of oversight, favoritism, or procedural lapse as seen in past events. It preserves council members' abilities to request information, serve constituents, and oversee policy while requiring actions to follow established, transparent processes that apply equally to everyone. The goal is to protect public trust, rebuild confidence in city operations, and avoid future challenges by putting clear guardrails in place, proactive prevention rather than punishment for everyday duties. Council discussions emphasize refining it to balance accountability with practical service, ensuring it strengthens governance without chilling normal interactions. So, in other words, it's just an opportunity for us to have some guardrails in place. As I have spoke out before, that we've seen some procedural shortcomings that were identified and some behaviors that were identified. And we as a council have had this discussion many times. And we also noted that there was no direct or concise direction that existed as to where we go after the fact if these things were identified. So this is that. It's the answer to that. We've all had that discussion in closed session. You guys all know that. And so this is just the answer to that. Where do we go from there if something is identified? So, thank you.
Okay, any other comments from council? Do we have any cards on this item for the public hearing?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to read into the record, we did have one electronic comment from Jeff McClure, which was sent to you earlier, and then it is printed for consumption if you'd like to look at it on the back. On this item, we do have several cards. We will begin with Brian Wong and follow that with the cameraman.
Welcome, Brian.
And staff. I think this is a very important issue because when I look at the title, it doesn't, really sync with the language on what you guys are trying to accomplish when this issue first came about. It seems like this is about contracts, contract engagement, getting in through the contract process and understanding contracts. So in the private sector, when we kind of like do anything, there's always contracts involved, hiring a contractor, doing a development, everything is defined by the contract. So from listening to the bits of information I'm getting from council on these issues, hopefully there are defined guidelines on how elected officials in the city should engage potential investors and other people into kind of like getting them to the point of getting a signed contract for whatever it is the intent of the engagement. So with that said, yes, this is very important because at the end of the day, how we move forward is defined by contracts. Anything that we agree to do, anything that we hope to do, everything is defined by contracts. Well, without contracts, there's no movement forward. So the contract agreements and the development of that process is of the utmost importance. So with that said, I hope the city does have clarity on how everybody should engage in these matters of contract negotiation, bringing it to the attention of staff and council especially, because whenever we negotiate anything in the private sector, our attorney is definitely very much a part of that process, and they help guide everyone forward. So thank you.
Up next, we have the cameraman.
Vice Mayor Smith had a question.
Yeah.
Brian, before you sit down, I think he had a question for Clary.
Not so much, but you triggered something that I just think that council needs to be aware of. I'm sure everyone's well aware of, but I want to point out that if we adopt this ordinance, that there's still more to come. Because in Section 5, council shall adopt a policy by resolution outlining the procedures. So if we then adopt this and this becomes an ordinance, there's more work to be done regarding this. And there's something you said that just triggered that. I just wanted to make clear that this isn't the final piece, so that we still have to put more meat to the bones, if you will, if this is adopted and passed. So I just wanted to make that clear to everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Before you begin my time, can I just get a clarification? It says direction on for direction tonight, not the official passing of the ordinance, right? Okay, good.
It's public hearing for public input.
Perfect. So basically, this kind of mind-boggling to a bit for me because, the government code and other things, the law is the law. It's like, if let's say one of the council members talks to a business member and say, hey, I need you to speed along the permit process for me. Here's, some money under the table, hypothetical. Well, from my understanding, he greases the wheels, that's bribery. That's a bribery of a public official. That's a crime. So, we can put ordinances like, I just don't really see any weight to this other than, the law, because the law is the law. If somebody breaks this, ordinance, outside of whatever criminal government code or whatever penalties they may incur, are we going to, give them a little citation, like a code enforcement ticket? Yeah, you're, doing what you shouldn't have done, so here's a little $50 ticket. I mean, it just seems, I have to agree with Councilmember Reynolds, is this seems kind of redundant in some parts, and especially that even once the ordinance is approved, then you guys got to create policy to go along with it. And I'm like, well, shouldn't just be policy already? Because it's like, I get government is different from the private sector, but like, the rules in the workplace, you sign up for the job, the policy is, you can't play on your phone while you're working. If you don't, you get penalized, and you get enough penalties, you get terminated. Now, it seems like the city council, if they wanted to make that policy, it looks like they got to make an ordinance to police themselves to make it just sounds, it just sounds confusing to as a member of the public. And ultimately, I get where this is leading to, contracts, things being above board, but at the end of the day, if anybody wants to find out, vested interest, you can always go to I think it's the auditor controller of the state, but you guys as council members, you have to disclose on a form every year, your vested interests. That's why, you guys recuse yourselves from certain matters, because you have whether you live in the district or, hey, I'm a stockholder in the McDonald's Corporation, so I can't vote on this item, whether that may be. And that is logged by the state government. And what is the state government? The law that's going to ultimately, affect, what's the word I'm looking for? My few seconds. Misconduct in the council's, capacity. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
That's all I have for submitted public comment, sir.
That's it?
That's it.
I'm looking that we probably have consensus to remove that particular item. Is that correct? Looking around the body? Strike that one
Demand for resignation.
bullet point, I think it was called.
Section 5.
Section 5 bullet point. And then I think we're done with the public hearing and input. Everyone good?
Yep.
Okay. Direction to staff.
All right.
We'll close this hearing. Got it?
So, want to have us bring this back? Normally what we do when we have an ordinance is we would normally just put the second reading and approval and consent for the next meeting, but we will take your direction on how you want us to bring this back and when.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You go ahead.
On the second reading, could we get the new draft with just the language that's going to be adopted, as well as the old language with it, so we can compare them?
A cleaned up
Because
version?
I would like to see it cleaned up.
Absolutely. I can send it to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
You want us to bring it back on the 7th on the regular agenda, consent
If
agenda?
there's room on the agenda for it, please do.
Okay. Put on the regular.
Yeah. All right. That being concluded. Thank you all for public input. Next item in the regular business is back to 7, the North Star contract for downtown storm drain feasibility study. Mr. Haber.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council again. I have we have a drainage problem in downtown. It's called the Mugshots Drain, but it's really behind 2040. I don't want to attribute anything bad to Mugshots. They did not do anything bad. But that is a low spot in our collection system, and what we think the culprit is 10 to 15 years ago, somebody drilled a hole through our levee and punctured the drain pipe, and it's full of concrete, so it cannot flow out. So during big storms, like we had last year, that parking lot floods, and we have to put a couple workers over there to lift the manhole up, put a pump down inside of it, and it sheets across to the convention center parking lot. Now, this contract will be a feasibility study for which way is more likely to meet success. We have a problem that pipe is underneath a Department of Toxic Substance Control cleanup site. It's the old gasification plant from PG&E from 100 years ago. It was cleaned up, I think, 15 years ago or so. It was Maybe earlier than that, but
Maybe 10.
somewhere around in there is when it was cleaned up. But it runs about 20 feet deep, and to break that cap, break the asphalt and the soil is it's quite a heavy permitting lift and expensive because we have to treat the soil as if it's dirty, even if it's not.
Right.
So North Star will come up with 3 alternatives for us, and we can then go after a design contract and a construction contract to help alleviate that problem down there.
Councilman Thompson has a question.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm all for finding out the best solution. My question is, don't we have, because I know that like working on Oro Dam and different places, that I'm not sure if the city has the access to the equipment, but I know that there are agencies in town that have the access equipment of putting cameras inside the pipe to see if actually there was a puncture in concrete.
We've put things into the pipe, and we've actually lost some drill heads in that pipe.
Wow.
You've lost drill heads in the pipe?
That was one of the sewer drill heads that we use in the sanitary sewers. We put one of those in there.
Oh, just to clear it out, you mean?
To clear it out. And we put a camera in there, and it's still,
Just
the pipe
drop it.
collapses, and it doesn't allow any water through.
I see. So it's clear that the pipe's collapsed?
Yes.
I see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any cards on this item? Council, any more questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thanks, sir. Item number 8, downtown zoning review discussion. Patrick.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. This item is discussion only, and it was requested by Councilmember Weber and Mayor Pittman to come back and explain what the downtown mixed use, somewhat about how that was created, what does it actually mean, and then what does it mean for businesses that may have existed before that are now legal non-conforming.
Councilman Goodson, do you have a question before he begins?
Oh. Well, no, go ahead. I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay, so I already did that. All right, the current zoning framework in the mixed-use downtown, and the mixed-use downtown, we have 3 mixed-use areas. Only one of them is mixed-use downtown right down here. It's specific for the downtown area. It was most likely rezoned to mixed-use downtown when the general plan was done in 2009. There was an update in 2015, but during an update like that, they wouldn't go through something like rezoning a whole area. So this would have been most likely done in 2009 when the general plan was created and adopted new. This allows for, mixed use is the most flexible of all the zonings. It allows for a wide range of businesses to go in without having to go through use permits and administrative permits. It's a streamlined way for the most number of businesses to be able to go into a new space. Doing something like this works towards the long-term economic vitality of an area and reinvestment. And it's done comprehensively for, like as I said, a broad vision for the downtown. Is it moving?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So when zoning is changed like it was in a general plan amendment or general plan update, some businesses are made to be legal non-conforming. So what that means is that the business, if it were to go into that place now, as with the zoning that it is now, it would be unlikely that it could go in, or it would have to go in with a use permit. In some instances, it may be allowed. But the ones that are there, when the zoning would change, get to continue their use in perpetuity, as long as they don't have a 2-year break in operation. So if a business is there, they're operating, they're doing whatever they did that was legal in, say, a C2 zone or a C1 zone, and now it's changed to mixed use downtown, They can continue that use by right until they stop operating, and they still have a 2-year grace period to say find another tenant, put another building business in there. After that 2 years per our code, then that designation would be lost, and then it would go to just mixed use downtown. So there's different reasons why you might do that. When they did, none of us were here maybe some of us were here during the 2009 update when we did that, but it's likely to encourage businesses that would be more complementary to a downtown, to attract tourists, to have people walking about, going to restaurants and shops and that kind of thing. Not having been here and known what the thought process was, I can't really opine to that, but this is good planning practice to create areas that are meant for people to gather and move about and for commerce to happen. Is not really, and it's typically sort of inconsistent with commercial uses. So the key question here tonight is, should zoning be modified for, specific properties that are now legal not conforming, or should broader zoning considerations be addressed through a future general plan update? So now the general plans, they're generally, you want to update them about every 20 to 30 years. So the next time that we would do it would ideally be in 2029, since the last one was done in 2009. Going through a general plan update is not a small task. It takes a couple of years, a year or two, sometimes maybe even 3 years. It requires outside consultants. It requires public meetings, workshops, and it requires mailers, and people are alerted and let to know that this is happening and invited to come out and discuss it. So it requires planning commission, public hearings at planning commission, public hearings at city council, and it may have had several of those. So this is an area, just to give an idea about some things that they do when they update a general plan. So I already mentioned that zoning is taken a look at, but what it is you take a comprehensive look at the entire city, and you look at what zoning you have and what exists and what might you like to have it be over time. So it doesn't mean, so when they change the downtown zoning to mixed use, it's not that they're saying everyone who's doesn't fit into this model has to go. It's saying that this is aspirationally, this is what the city would like to see. Over time, at some point, we would like to see this change into an area where you would have tourists come in, say, what a cute little downtown, let's go back to that place again. Enjoy the restaurants, the shops, have a place to walk around, go up to the levee, and that kind of thing. This slide right here is just a little excerpt out of the last general plan. This is the Arts and Entertainment District that was created through that last general plan. And you can see on here that that sort of, I don't know what you call that shape, that upside down triangle kind of in the center, that is right across the street from City Hall. So what they had in mind is for the City Hall and the Ford dealership to be sort of all put into a comprehensive plan where it would be a civic center. So it was kind of a showcase thing. I've heard people tell me that the hillside over there was considered to be maybe an amphitheater where you might set up seats and then you could have a band playing down below. And then there's the Centennial Park that's up above it. I believe that's what that is. And if that's not Centennial Park, then it would have been something else like it that would go in that spot. So something an overlook to be able to look over the river, kind of inviting people to walk around and move about. But this is how one of the elements of a general plan. Come up with your new definitions of what your zonings are going to be, where your zone should be, what makes sense to have commercial in this spot, industrial in the other spot, mixed or a downtown area, arts and entertainment district. All of these things are well thought out, and it's a very comprehensive, laborious task to go through to create one of these thank you, general plan. I knew Tim would be paying attention. All right, so considerations for site-specific changes. So in general, site-specific uses in areas are discouraged. So we've actually had someone complain that they said that we were spot zoning, when in actuality, what he was saying was the opposite of what we have, because we changed whole areas to be into mixed use to encourage people to come in and operate. So you can do housing, you can do shops, you can do restaurants, you can do offices. All of these things would be allowed in a mixed use area without having to go through the fuss of a planning commission or use permits. So to do any changes that we would do would really require some, again, a comprehensive look at what you're changing, why you change it. You have to come up with like a real reasons for why you would change zoning that's already in a whole area into what we call a spot zoning. Why you would change 1 or 2 or 3 businesses that would be then incompatible with the rest of the use and according to the general plan. So I just kind of went through this. You want to make sure that in the general plan you look at things like where might you want to put another road or a bridge, or what the sidewalks might be like. So all of these things are elements of a general plan. And so this is the end of the, wait, am I at the end of the presentation? Oh, planning approach. Yep. So for a planning approach, and I've already covered this, a mixed use designation provides a very broad cloth for which people can operate a business. It does not take away anyone's right to operate what they had been operating in the past, and as long as they continue operating it. And anyone, truthfully, that has a grandfathered use in an area that has been rezoned actually has sort of the best of both worlds, because they have, when they're selling the property, they can actually sell it under both zonings. They could sell it as a commercial, and they could sell it as a mixed use. I spoke to, I know that there had been, someone had brought up a question about whether or not financing is an issue. And so I had a meeting with Golden Valley Bank just yesterday to talk to them, and the vice president told me that when they're looking at funding a project, they don't consider zoning at all. It's not something that they look at. They look purely at the business model, the finance, or the funding that they bring, their history, all the things that you would do in underwriting. Zoning isn't something that they look at. It's not something that they're interested. They know that the city's going to sort that out. So if the city will allow them to do it and everything else works for them, they'll fund the project. So our next, like I said, the next, ideally we would do another general plan. We would adopt it in 2029, which means that we would start it maybe in 27, maybe 28. But it is a lengthy process, so it would be something that we would be starting soon. And then there would, as I mentioned, there would be lots of public workshops, people invited to come. And, the unfortunate thing, as we've seen at many of our public workshops, is not everybody responds or comes when you have public workshops, except for when I do. So, all right, so that's the end of the presentation, and so I'll open it up for discussion.
Okay, Councilman Goodson's in the queue.
All those things that you just, community workshop, for a comprehensive study. Oh, thank you. So I have a couple of questions. I don't know who I direct it to you or whatever staff can address it. First, I just wanted to know, because I'm a visual learner, do we have an estimate on how many downtown businesses currently that are classified as legal, non-conforming? And just what type of businesses are those?
I have staff actually doing a study right now, looking at all the businesses in the downtown. I know of 2 that are legal non-conforming.
Okay, so 2 right now. Okay, thank you. Natalie probably has some more information. Okay, so there's just 2.
Yeah.
So number 2 question, and thank you, Patrick. Have any of these businesses experienced challenges such as the permits. You talked about financing, but we don't know if they've experienced that. You just had a conversation with the vice president of Golden Valley. So has there been any challenges with permits, expansions, or financing because of the non-conforming issue?
Well,
I just wanted to understand if there's any real impacts on business owners who have been operating legally and contributing to the downtown for a number of years.
I mean, that's a great question, and thank you for asking. Both of those businesses are owned by the same person, and one of them did just turn over. So the business that was there had left, and a new one came in, and they were issued a business license. They didn't have to go to planning commission, and they didn't have to pay any fees that were outside of the business license fee and the inspection fee.
Okay, thank you. And then I have just one last, just one comment. So for me, the real bottom line is, given that the city is already prepared, you had thrown out 2029, and so, but realistically, the city is already planning for a comprehensive general plan update in 2027.
Well, it would start in 27 to maybe 28, and it would adopt it in 29-ish. But yes, you're right. That's right.
Okay, so my question is, what is the specific urgency to begin a zoning review now with an amendment rather than addressing those issues as part of that broader citywide process? And for me, to get a full review, we would be getting land use designations. That includes downtown zoning. We would get residential densities, commercial corridors, industrial areas. You have, and you must have, the community engagement. The community would like to interact. That would be inclusive of workshops and surveys, stakeholder meetings, policy updates on housing, transportation, economic development. So I'm just asking, why are we visiting this right now when we really need to have that comprehensive study to get a full review of the whole city? So that's my thought process. And it also lends efficiency and legal clarity when you do a full review. And we just talked about transparency too. So just saying.
Patrick, you want to handle that question?
Well, I think this item is for tonight is just discussion. It was brought by two council members to just have this discussion. I think, I mean, from my point of view, from the community development department's point of view, that any work that we do now would be duplicative to what we would do for the general plan, and it does still require public hearings, even if we were to go say change the zoning, which I think changing zoning for just a couple of businesses in a whole area that's surrounded by something else. I mean, there could be some pushback from random people that were spot zoning, so it could cause some complications. But there would be public hearings, and there would have to be there'd be discussions. The public would be able to come out and opine on that. So, my druthers would be that we do it all with the comprehensive general plan.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just a fact check on the non-conforming, because I believe someplace in our code it does say 1 year, not 2. So if it applies to someone, and then just for clarification, what that exactly means. So if I'm a business, and now the city has rezoned me, and so my business now no longer complies with the new zoning, I'm non-conforming. I'm allowed because it's by right I'm there. You can't just kick me out of my property. But if I were to, for some reason, cease operations and I go longer than 360, it says well, you say 2 years in your staff report, but I read in some place in the code, it's 1 year. So just looking for clarification, make sure we clarify that so that there's not. Wes maybe knows the answer to that.
we got the
And I just
big
want to make sure we're not making a mistake inadvertently, and then,
That's good.
so that's just an important point.
From Wes.
And then while he's preparing to say that, I do want to say this to the general plan. The 2017, the city has a 108-page document where you might have got that one piece that you showed us about the plan with the being able to see the river, because a part of that was we were going to tear down the levee and bring it down so you could see the river like San Antonio. It was going to be it would be amazing if we could pull that many millions of dollar operation off, and then we would have we'd be the best thing in Northern California if that could happen. But that's a big lift between where we are today and into the future, if that ever could be realized. We're going to have a whitewater park. The reason why I say all of that is because, over time, plans change. People realize their pockets maybe aren't quite as deep. So my druthers would be, as a larger conversation that would involve ODBA and all of the stakeholders, to where we have a very deep, well-thought-through process as to what Orville wants to look like and what we can actually realize into the future. But just to be like a little sports car, beep, 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 get out of the way, we're going to change this here or there, kind of, willy-nilly, for lack of a better way of saying it. I don't think that's how we get into trouble. So anyway, now I think Wes is ready.
Yeah.
It's I believe it's a short answer, and it may be subject to other comment by our city attorney, but there are two timelines, two time periods in our cessation of use ordinance. One of them has to do with cessation of use of a non-conforming structure that might have been designed for something other than what the zoning says. And the second one is for a non-conforming use. One of them is 1 year, one of them is 2 years, and I'm not quite sure which is which, but there are two numbers. There's a 1 year and a 2
I do believe that
number.
the 2 years is the use. We've looked at that. There is, there's something to say with the 2 years is a long time, quite frankly. Most cities are 1 year. And so 2 years was a little bit surprising to see the 2 years when I first saw that. But given that we have empty storefronts, in all honesty, if someone was empty for 2 years and they were actively trying to really, put someone in there that fit, and they weren't able to, but then they could at, like 30 months, maybe it's better than, maybe that's better than an empty storefront.
Okay. Councilman Thompson's in the queue.
Thank you. Yeah, just a little bit of research. I guess I had the same question as Councilwoman Goodson regarding the reason for the current discussion. I'm not clear on the reason for it coming up right now, but just in generalities, the mixed-use zone is better for an old town feel, and on top of that, we can add in, if the council were to do that, although it'd be more bureaucracy, a design review board, because I am in favor of keeping the old town feel downtown, and if we were to adopt a design review board or create one, that might help to make sure that as new businesses come into town that they follow along with our long-term goal of keeping Orville, the downtown feel the way it is.
Walkable community.
We do actually have, we have the DRC, the Design Review Committee, that meets once a month. It's made up of two planning commissioners. So also on the historic, they wear the same hat as the historic commission.
Great, so that's already in place?
It is in place, right?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
And they do a good job. I have to say, what it does is applicants will come in and talk about their plans. They can sort of sort out some of the little issues that they see, so they can get those bugs out before they get the planning commission, which saves them often from having to go to another planning commission to get these things that might have been discovered later.
Okay, two questions I have real quick. If a non-conforming use property owner decides to sell the property, does that non-conforming use goes to the new buyer?
It goes with the land. The use goes with the land. So, and then so does the clock.
Right.
You know, right, so,
Yeah, so the
but the
cost.
use goes with the land. So if he were to, as I mentioned before, if an owner with an existing non-conforming use sells it, they actually have the best of both worlds because they can sell it as a mixed use or they could sell it as whatever the other zoning is that they have. So they're really in sort of a sweet spot.
I think that's my primary interest is the investment by the property owner. I don't want to hurt their investment, and I want to see their investment carry through whatever they chose to make that investment in that particular property. The other thing that happened, and just a little small bit of historical issues, back in the time 15 years ago, actually 20 years ago, there was a lot of discussion about putting in the Huntoon Street Bridge. And that's where some of this was kind of driven by the idea of having a Huntoon Street Bridge, going to Thermalito, adding additional that, and creating a more walkable community. Obviously, the bridge never got built, but that was where some of this discussion occurred, and having the potential of some kind of a community network, downtown park, those kind of things. So some of that is what helped to drive this initially. And the other thing that happened too, and when this zoning was layered in, there was not a requirement to make a notice to every individual property owner. It was done on a public notice basis into the newspaper, but not an individual property owner notice. And that's state law. That's what it set down to. That's what I discovered. So if some of the property owners find this out as a surprise, it's fair. It's a surprise because they didn't get individual notification. But I think as long as the staff understands the fact that we're very interested in whatever the property owner wants to do with the property and keep their investment whole, I think that's a pretty valid way to go, whether it needs to be done by policy, direction, whatever staff recommends to this point, and then at least until we get to the general plan to be done. I don't want to hurt any property owners in the process, so. And I know we're going to have some public comment here pretty soon, so let me, Councilman Reynolds is in the queue.
Mr. Mayor, your bridge.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to hear from a council member who actually put it on the agenda to find out what the emergency is about, because I know the mayor didn't do it because he didn't need a council member to back him on the agenda. So it was this council member, and I'd like to hear what the why now.
Okay.
Councilman Weber.
Councilman Weber, would you like to speak on that or wait for the public comment?
No.
Okay. Any other council?
I don't answer to you, sir.
Okay. Right. So,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, a couple months ago, we had a meeting and there was a conversation given in the spirit of transparency, Councilmember Goodson. We had a council member that walked around with a business owner and discussed all the zoning and told him that he would make his zoning problems go away.
That's a lie. You're lying.
Okay.
You are a liar.
I was hoping you would say that because the next day after the meeting, this is the text from that business owner. Hey, Chuck, just checking in to see if you got through the information I sent and your thoughts on it. Someone shot me a YouTube video of the council meeting. Your statement was true and your concern about transparency in question is valid.
You truly are a joke.
Well, is this business owner a liar? In the spirit of transparency, sir,
You're a liar.
should I demand your resignation? Oh, we took that out.
we're done with this particular part of the conversation. Councilman Reynolds, I could even disagree with your comment too, because that individual provided a letter of full explanation to this entire council,
About that letter.
and that was entered into the record.
What about this text message?
I don't really care about your text message, sir. I have a written letter that identifies what occurred.
It's in the public
What
records,
occurred is in the public record. Text message.
Public records a week out.
You truly are pathetic.
Okay.
Do you realize that?
All right, we're done with this discussion. We're going to get back to the agenda item. And if there's no other further council comments, I'll ask for the public comment. Do we have any
Yes.
public comments?
Mr. Mayor, we sure do. We have 2 public comments for in-person comment, but I do need to read into the record. We did also receive 1 letter from the Oroville Downtown Business Association, which was provided to everybody electronically before this meeting, and it's also on the dais for consumption. We will begin with Natalie Sheard and follow that with Marcia Henderson.
Welcome, Natalie. Come on up.
Thank you. I might be preaching to the choir, but I'll do it anyway. My name is Natalie. I'm the president of the Downtown Business Association. And as you know, our mission is to ensure a thriving business economy in what is roughly a 5 square block area known as downtown Oroville. Our job is to market this district as a destination. It's walkable. It's laid out to entice the customer to explore the area safely on foot. For example, when you leave the wine bar, you can see Unicone ice cream. From Unicone, you can see the State Theater. You can go all the way around the corner and you get to see Provisions and you see the Union Restaurant. This compactness encourages exploration on foot from one shop to another. This design is similar to the way it was at the turn of the century. It's walkable with a variety of shops and restaurants and services and residences upstairs. The term for this is mixed use downtown. The intent of this zone is to create a vibrant, family-friendly, human-scale urban core that combines residential upstairs with small commercial, personal services, restaurants, and shops and offices downstairs. I was afraid because I did hear of a push to rezone our downtown to a commercial use. I wanted to let you know that this would destroy the small, walkable character that history and use have curated for over 100 years. Commercial zones allow big box retail, large equipment, repair services, auto repair services, new and used vehicle sales, RV sales, building supply stores, landscape material sales, gas stations, car washes, hospitals, and outpatient services, to name a few. All of those are good uses, but they all have parking lots. Customers drive to the location and then they leave. It's not designed to hang out and explore the next shop or eatery. Humans need to be enticed to shop. When you get your coffee at the Union Coffee Club, you see the State Theater, you walk across the street, you read the marquee, you walk down Myers, you see the personal services in the jewelry store and the bridal shop, and you can do this all safely in what is downtown Oroville. Many small business owners have invested money into their endeavors because they have the protection of the MXD zone. I would ask you, as you move forward, to protect that zone for downtown. And if you do look at the rezoning, please include the Downtown Business Association. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, we have Marcia Henderson. And then just so you're aware, Mr. Mayor, that is the last public comment card I have.
Okay. Welcome, Marcia.
Thank you for having me. I know that this is supposed to be just about discussion for the city council, but there was an action requested at the end of that staff report. Thank you also for your presentation, Pat, because you did a great way of explaining everything to the council and the public. My question is why did the staff report, the action requested section, not make any mention of the Planning Commission? And according to the municipal code, the Planning Commission shall possess the specific duty of making recommendations on amendments to the regulations set forth and on proposed rezonings of property. So in California, zoning amendments are evaluated by the Planning Commission first, including partial zoning changes and the periodic review of the general plan, before returning recommendations back to the City Council for final approval. Perhaps it was the staff's intention to comply with the municipal code, but it is not indicated as such in the action requested section. So, number one, if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. And number two, as we know, the motion that will come before you will verbally be stated as it is written in the staff report, either choice. So I urge the council to comply with due process and direct the staff to provide information and analyses to the Planning Commission for further evaluation and recommendations for the City Council prior to any approval of zoning amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Is that the last card? Okay. I think, in summary, I think the council has heard some of the discussions. I don't, there's no motion to be made other than the discussion to staff. I think the other commonality here is we're very interested in what the property owner wants to do with their property and try to not restrict it beyond what they originally bought it for. If you could take that communication to Planning Commission, and maybe the Planning Commission has some ideas for that process. I mean, like I said, the one thing that happened in the past, back in 2015, and I did research this with the gentleman that was responsible for that, there was not a requirement to let every property owner know what was going on with that kind of layered zoning. And personally, I would have rather seen every property owner get a letter saying, this is what's happening, this is what's changing.
Right. Transparency.
And transparency. So
Right.
if we can ask the Planning Commission to maybe they come up with a solution to this, I think it'd be wonderful. I think that's pretty much the consensus of council if I'm looking around.
Can I ask, though,
Okay.
for clarification?
Sure.
Because he does have, he has right to exist as long as he exists, and then he has 2 more years to exist after that. Is there something to add on to the 2 years? Or I just want clarification. If I put something on the Planning Commission, what am I asking them to do?
Well, I don't see any comment from council about the 2-year problem. Does any councilman have a problem with the 2 years? Not seeing that, so the 2 years sounds fine to me. I mean, from what I'm looking at the council body, I don't think that's changed, but
I suppose what I could do is put an item on the Planning Commission to have a discussion about what I'd mentioned a little bit earlier about if they're unable to find a tenant over a certain period of time, then will they, should there be some sort of policy that exists that would allow them a little bit more time or something? But this was actually discussed at DRC, and it wasn't favorably received.
I would think maybe there might be a potential for this, the example you raise, that the person might be able to ask for a variance from council or from the Planning Commission for whatever their particular problems are. I think that's the essence of local government, is when someone brings something that's not in the book and give the elected body the opportunity to weigh in on it, I think that would be a good thing for all of us concerned, because we don't know what the future holds.
Yep.
And that may be a wise thing to do, and I would hope the Planning Commission would have suggestions toward that.
Fair enough. Thank you.
I like your bridge. I like your bridge.
He's showing us a
You
bridge of the
really
new one in
found
Chico. You know
That's
that
the bridge.
20th Street
Wow.
Bridge? No. It was a desire for a lot of folks. In fact, the Mercury was the one pushing the Huntoon Street Bridge because they obviously wanted a bridge to get to their older building, which is now the county building. So, Councilman Thompson.
No, I just want to say thank you for reading that about the Planning Commission, because when I first saw this, my initial thought was there must have been some dispute at Planning Commission for it to come here, because it's supposed to be over there, unless there's a contention or contesting to a decision made there. So I appreciate that you bringing that up.
Thank you all. Staff have direction? Any questions? All right, we move on. Oh, Councilman Goodson, I'm sorry, I missed you.
I'm going to piggyback off of that. I apologize for not following due process and protocol. So it wasn't intentional, but thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, we'll close that item. Next one is, where are we at? Number 9?
Number 9.
Number 9, Hewitt.
Engine number 9.
Hewitt Park, Georgia Pacific Train Painting Project Update. Who has this one?
I'll take this, Mr. Mayor. And Tim could probably chime in as well. But so at the last meeting on March 3rd, the council gave direction to staff to do a memorandum of understanding with a local nonprofit or try to find a mutual agreement with the intent of painting the 2 trains at Hewitt Park. I mean, Hewitt Park is opening April 3rd. And the idea was, let's get some fresh paint on these trains and just beautify the park even more. So all the good intentions. During the last 2 weeks, myself, other staff, many folks have gone out to the trains and just visited the site to check it out. They obviously, they've been sitting there, I think, for 60, how many years, Tim? You had it down. 65 years, somewhere in that neighborhood.
The lower train was there in 1959.
1959. Been there a while. They look great from afar, obviously. As you get closer, the paint chips are there, but I mean, they are beautiful trains. What became clear, though, is that, I mean, it's a massive project.
Right.
There are some concerns we have, obviously, just how do you do this with the paint? There's rust on a lot of them. There's sharp objects on a lot of them. So we kind of got to the point where we felt like, let's bring something back to the council. We love the idea of getting this done, and if somehow we could reach some sort of an MOU, but if it's with a nonprofit, that's great. But then find some sort of subject matter expert, possibly in the community, that has done this type of work, just to make sure, obviously, that the work is done correctly. If there's mitigation that needs to be done, that's done correctly. It's done safely. So that's where we landed. Is what we'd like to recommend that if there is a subject matter expert out there, we work with a nonprofit to reach an agreement with them. And if that can't be done, maybe the city, the council wants to direct staff to try to look into that, we can certainly do that as well. But there are some other questions I think we need to run to ground before we have folks painting the trains. Tim, anything to add? Okay.
I'll ask one quick question as we begin. Did you test it for lead paint? Or has it been tested?
It has not been laboratory tested. It has been tested with the swabs that indicates that there is lead paint.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just Councilman Goodson's in the queue.
Yes, for me, this really just comes down to a risk factor. The trains at Hewitt Park, it's not a simple paint job. They come with real safety concerns. Hiring trained, certified professionals, for me, is the right approach. I see no other. It protects the city. It protects the people that are doing the work. And it keeps us out of unnecessary liability if something goes wrong. And so as city council people entrusted by the residents, we should always choose the option that carries the least amount of risk to the public and to the city. So I guess you know where my vote stands.
Councilman Weber, you're in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as identified before when I read my statement regarding this, encapsulation is the highest and best way to mitigate this without having to hire very, very expensive remediation methods. And I can only imagine how much money this would be if we actually hired somebody. Now, with that being said, I've reached out to several local professionals, and they've given their opinion about it. Johnny Nolan's here right now. He's got a lot of experience in obviously the paint field, and he's done some research too on exactly what the highest and best practices are in the industry standards for dealing with and mitigating lead paint. I think it's a shame that we got to the point in this park where it was not thought of before, because there was so much energy, time, and effort put into development of this. And then these were seemingly overlooked. And now we're going to have a, multi-million-dollar park that is absolutely gorgeous that's about to open up, but we got these two rusting hulks at either end of it. This doesn't have to be super complicated. And with all due respect, it is a simple paint job. It really is. It's not, for somebody that wouldn't know how to do that or could, doesn't have the experience, with something of that scale, then perhaps it would look like it was very, very daunting or overwhelming. But it really isn't. It can be done fairly easily with painting professionals, and anybody that has experience in that field would know how to do it. So, however, I've gotten to the point, though, with this whole entire issue that I'm okay with whatever this council says, whatever staff wants to do, whatever you guys want to do to mitigate the issue. If you guys want to do further testing or look at mitigating it or whatever, or if you guys land at this place where we could find, a nonprofit and some professionals that would help. However it looks, for me, the ultimate end game is just getting it painted. So we don't have the one on Baldwin is, in my opinion, a little better shape than the one on Park. When you're close to the Park one, it's very bad. Okay, but these are, at the very front and back of this beautiful park. You know, we should do something about it. So, highest and best uses, like even the EPA says encapsulation, okay? So without disturbing too much of the surface, we can encapsulate it. We could do a cleanup, like a light cleaning of it with some TSP, and then have a person go in that is a paint professional and overlay it with proper encapsulating primer, and then a paint that is standard for other historic locomotives that they use it. For instance, the Rust-Oleum product that was identified is exactly what other historic preservations with these locomotives they use, this exact same product. So I get it that we have to, you know, dot our I's and cross our T's and look at all the things. You know, we don't want to create a hazard for anybody by no means. But I guess the question is, if left untouched, are they more hazardous? You know, because if the question is like, you know, what paint chips are going to fall off it, or the potential for this or the potential for that, you know, then airborne particulates can blow anywhere at that point. So if we don't do anything, are we leaving it as more of a hazard? Do we set ourselves up for further scrutiny? You know, do we set ourselves up for legal action? Do I dare say? I mean, where does it go from here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with whatever the council wants to do. I just want to see it painted.
Yeah.
Okay? I just want to see our park beautiful.
Right.
And I want to see these historic pieces look and reflect what we've done as an investment in this community. So that's what I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Thompson's in the queue.
Thank you. In regards to the research for this, I don't know who all's been involved with I honestly don't know who's been involved with the research for the processes of this. Has the gentlemen who've been doing the historic murals in town, have they been approached or just talked to in regards to this?
Not yet. We wanted to get some direction from council here. I know we, just in conversation I've had with various council members I've talked to, I said that I think finding a subject matter expert makes the most sense. And
because I know that they do. I mean, I wouldn't, if they haven't been talked to, I don't know why not yet, but I know that the paints that they use, I know they specifically talked to me about how proud they are of the products that they use for the murals they've done to be paints that don't easily fade and are long-lasting, and the paintings they've done of trains, specifically in town, have been historically accurate. So I don't know who would be better qualified to literally paint trains historically accurate as the guys who've already been painting murals of trains with paint that are historically accurate. And I know specifically that I would think that they would be interested. I know that they were on the docket to do some murals at Hewitt, and I think that got changed to now the potentially rainforest mosaics, and so that may be freeing up some of their time to work on the trains. But I don't know anybody better qualified locally who care about our town and would do something that would be affordable and historically accurate and well done in a way that makes Orville proud. So I would be my direction to go talk to those guys, see what they can put together, because it always seems like they take care of our town. They do a good job, and they just, they don't. In fact, their price is, even from my understanding, the price for what they were going to do for the murals in Hewitt was relatively way less than what the mosaics are. But my point being that they always seem to offer a rate that is very much affordable. Not I would say affordable, but very much fair for what they do. Because I know the paints they use are very expensive. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I definitely want the trains painted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what experience they have with trains, with that type, but certainly, I mean, we're not against reaching out to folks.
First off, I'd like to just offer thanks to the volunteers who wish to paint it. I think that's a wonderful offering to start with. And they opened up I don't want to say a can of worms, but they opened up something that's significant for us all to deal with. And I believe encapsulation is really the sensible way to go. My discovery is found out that there is believe it or not, a railroad train EPA permit process to paint a railroad, an old engine. I discovered that. So there are things here to discover just for us all to find out. And I would look forward to having it done right and proper. And you're right, it needs to be looking well and not have any problems. The discovery I found too is that anybody that does paint is required to wear tie-back suits. It's like, really, how far are we going to go with this? And I do want to get it done right and, proper. And I'm sure we do have folks in here, we just have to go down the right path to do it. And be very careful about it because it even requires a C33
yeah.
contractor permit to do this kind of work. So I think we need to do it right and have staff bring back some good ideas. Councilman Reynolds in the queue.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me for, once again, being a stickler for keeping the record straight. This was brought up before 2.5 years ago by Pee Wee Gonzalo Curiel when he took a wrong turn on Park Avenue, and he's making a U-turn. He's seen how bad the train looked. He asked me, we asked a council member, we asked city administrator, what was the liability of him painting the train with some volunteers? What the answer came back was, we think that this is included in the Hewitt Park remodel, the upgrade. That's what the answer was. So that's why it was left to the Hewitt Park upgrade. And here we are. At the end, we found out that it's not included. But what the answer was, we think that it was included. So that's the history of it. It was his idea. He's done a great service to this community, so I'd like to thank him. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, is this your document?
Yeah.
I have the Midas too.
All right, there we go. All right. So the mayor has a document here, museum standard specifications for addressing this. And so, we recently hired a curator with a degree.
Right.
So just as another thought for staff, maybe she would be the appropriate person, looking at your documents. Like,
Well-
right away, the curator came to mind. So, because that's part of her expertise is restoration.
And her job was with the Sacramento Railroad Museum.
No kidding.
There you go.
So that's where I got my stuff.
Yeah.
So we have probably a good work to come back and bring to staff so that we all have a good thing. And again, I want to thank the volunteers for offering and any folks in the community that are going to help along the process. Once we find out what the process has to be and encapsulation, I totally agree. That's the sensible way to go about this thing. And there are products out there that do this kind of thing. I know they were doing bridges and all that. So I think that'll be the thing that staff bring back to us. And anyone that has any comments to share, we'd look forward to it. Community deal. How's that? All right. Staff got enough direction on that? Next item looks like number 10. Is that correct? Financial analysis for fiscal year ended June 30, 2025. Ruth,
Good evening, Mayor.
tell us a good story, please.
I'll make it quick. I know everybody was ready for their corned beef and cabbage, so I'll make it quick. It's a very unremarkable year. There weren't any significant one-time revenues or expenditures in the budget. Basically, I just want to let you know that we had a $555,000 deficit, but if you break it down, it includes 3 funds. So we have our general fund, our district tax fund, and now we have our pension stabilization fund. So I've never included that with the general funds in prior years. I'm including it this year because new auditing standards, our accounting standards, and our auditor has included it in his report, and I really very much want to match what he's putting out there. So I'm including the pension stabilization fund. There is $5 million in that fund. I didn't want to skew the numbers, but it is the right thing to do, so I added it. So if you break it down, we had the general fund with a deficit of about $70,000, and that's about as close as you can get to a balanced budget, I think. But it isn't. It's more over and unders in a lot of different places, and so it just kind of ended the year that way. In the district tax fund, we had a deficit of $796,000. This is the fund that I tell you every year that we're budgeting more expenditures than revenues because we have surplus fund balance in there, and we don't intend to keep fund balance in that account. So we have been budgeting more expenditures and revenues, so that is to be expected. And then the pension stabilization fund had interest of $336,000 this year with a fiscal agent fee of $25,000. So last year was a good year for earning interest. So all in all, the total, we had $555,000 deficit. And the handout that is way too small to read on the screen up there is just included in the staff report. It is a look of our current budget to actual, and you can see the over and unders and the two large ones on expenditures. In the district tax fund every year, I've been budgeting that fire truck because we bought the fire truck a couple years ago, but it's sitting in a prepaid asset account, so it's never really been expensed. So I keep putting it in the budget, hoping that we'll get it and I get to expend it. So you can see in public safety, we're way under in expenditures by 1.6, but part of that's the $1.2 million fire truck that we bought. And then in streets and storm drains, we have significant under, but that we have been budgeting in there extra street work, and we've never been able to spend all of it. So that's why the streets is so much under. But we'll continue to keep budgeting our expenditures in the district tax fund more than revenues until we get pretty close down to no fund balance. So the next handout is a prior year comparison to actual, and you can see what we did last year. I think everything looks pretty close, and there's just, like I said, it's a very unremarkable year. And new this year, I added a new handout. The last handout attachment is, Kayla, can you go to one more? It's changes in fund balance, because we talk about fund balance all the time, and there's just really not a lot of really knowing what's going on with fund balance. So I did 5 years of changes in fund balance. I wish I could have shown you more, but it just would really get really small. But it was probably only maybe 10 years ago, our fund balance was only $8 million. And now we have a $25 million fund balance. So that district tax fund did a lot for the city. It really did. So you can see that we haven't changed much in the last 5 years. We have 22 million and now we're at 25, so there's really not a lot, but you can see how our surpluses went and deficits were for the last 5 years. But then when you talk about fund balance, there's a lot of confusion, so I was hoping to clear it up by putting this extra little chart in here. It's called fund balance classifications. So government accounting standards require you to have your fund balance in 5 different classifications. So this is what it looks like. And if you look at our audit report, this mirrors that. So in non-spendable fund balance, that would be your prepaids and your inventories. You can't spend it, I already have. So the next category is restricted, and that's where our $9 million general fund reserve is. And then that's where our $5 million restricted for pensions, that is the trust account that we have that can't spend it on anything other than pensions. We plan on in future years, we're going to use that fund when the CalPERS unfunded liability spikes and it's going to really wreck our budget. We're going to use this to level out our budget so that we can continue the way we're going. And we haven't had to use it yet, so that's pretty good. And then at the end of the year, we have certain contracts and purchase orders that are open that are going to be paid in the next year. So pretty much that money is already spent too. That's another $2.5 million. And then in the committed classification that's our payroll accrual. And again, that was paid in July. So it's just kind of showing you at year end, you have this fund balance, but a lot of it is already spoken for. And then you get down to assigned fund balance. So it starts at the top where it's very restrictive and then it goes less and less restrictive. Assigned fund balance is assigned by staff. So non-spendable, you can't spend. Restricted is restricted by council or by a third party. That would be our trust account. And committed, we already spent that. But assigned is just staff. It's just us. It's what we think that we It's just things that we know that we have to pay, so we're kind of putting a label on it. So the first one is unfunded pension obligations. For last year, we had 5.5 million. For this year, we put 4.5 million. The actual liability is around 11, so we're not even covering the whole liability. And then capital projects, we put 2 million in there. And then contingency, we did 500,000. So that leaves you a balance of unassigned fund balance, and you can see that it's just not a lot at the end of the day. So last year, 24-25, we had $3,000 left after all of our assignments. So I just hope that kind of helps clear up what we mean when we're talking about fund balance. So I thought I would add that to my presentation this year. So if you have any questions.
So what you're saying is we can't send the whole council to Tahiti this year for a week?
No.
Next year?
Yeah.
No, and there's stuff that's missing in there. Like we saw just recently a road study that says we're at 55 million in the hole for our roads. If we want to address everything we need to in our roads, it's just, I mean, you could really paint a pretty bad picture if you looked at everything.
Two questions I have, and one is, it's a hard hit. I know our utility cost is going up, as everybody in this room knows about your utility costs for your electricity. The one other thing that is scary to me is the cost of fuel. We buy a lot of fuel, and I would, try to keep a close track on that, because that's a big reason why we operate. Every city vehicle has fuel needs, and I'm afraid that we may end up as part of our contingency based upon just the fuel cost.
It's very hard to budget for those things because you just really don't know.
Right.
I think when I first started, Scott Huber said, well, you could budget $10 for a ream of paper, but it's never going to be $10. It's going to be 11, or it'll be, it's just whatever it is, but you can budget. It's just kind of a reminder that we can budget as good as we can, but it's always going to come out different.
I just say there's two things that we got to have to watch very closely. Councilman Goodson's in the queue.
I was just curious, how much would it cost to do away with CalPERS?
To what?
Okay, let me say it louder.
Okay.
How much would it cost for us to do away with CalPERS? I'll park it.
$80 million.
Oh, so we're down $1 million from 2015. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there is a termination cost, and it's exorbitant.
Well, I agree with Councilman Goodson. CalPERS is our problem, and the way they invest is our problem.
Yeah.
And it's wrong that they put it on our backs. That's a political statement, but it is. Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
And speaking of investment, Ameriprise, who we have the 9 million with Midkiff, I assume that 9 million is still with that firm. And as far as an investment vehicle, it would be nice to see how we're tracking with that as far as what we're earning.
He'd be happy to come. I can set that
Yeah,
up
that would be
for
great
you.
just to get a report, given the current
It's
climate.
actually 20 million. We did 10 in CDs and 10 in treasuries.
And that's all with that Ameri firm?
Yep.
Okay. That would be good to just, get a report.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Love that.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. Any other questions? Seeing none, do we have any comment cards on her item?
We do not.
All right. Next item is future agenda items, correspondence. Council have any future agenda items for the council to consider? Seeing none, I'll move forward to correspondence. Is included in our minutes, the fire department statistics, business assistance housing monthly report, the hearing on the facility fees for Warrenville Union High School, and the January and February 2026 clerk department reports. Those being included, I will now, at this moment in time, it's now, 6:38. We'll adjourn the meeting for the next, a normal meeting on April 7th